You know, the NBA has had a lot of issues in recent years when it comes to ratings, and I feel like it's become a bit of a controversial topic, to say the least, especially online. Everybody talks about why the NBA is failing, why the NBA is not doing as well as it possibly should be. And for me, as a huge college basketball fan, I certainly see a lot of that chatter online, and I wanted to make a video today about why I prefer college basketball over the NBA. Especially, you know, a lot of the NBA fans, they get very sensitive about that topic. There's not much of an alliance between the two fan bases, you know, the NBA fan and the college basketball fan, where you see that with the NFL and college football. There's definitely a lot of an alliance there, and we just don't necessarily see that within college basketball and the NBA. And as somebody who really prefers college basketball, I wanted to really talk about why that is, why I like college basketball more than the NBA, because I feel like it's not necessarily about why I don't like the NBA. It's more of why I love college basketball, and I feel like it has a lot of things the NBA does not have. And at the end of the day, a lot of the NBA fans will just say the basketball is better in the NBA. I mean, you can't necessarily disagree with that because the high level shot making is just different at the NBA level. But the reason I prefer college basketball has way less to do with shot making ability, you know, the high level of offense, and has a lot to do with a lot of different things that you just do not see in the NBA. And I wanted to talk about like a lot of those things in this video because certainly people ask me all the time why I like college basketball so much, especially my friends. Why not just talk about it in a video? So here we are. Now, a huge reason I love college basketball obviously is the NCAA tournament. I mean, you can't really replicate a single elimination tournament where you get all sorts of different wacky, weird outcomes that I always describe it to people as you pull the slot machine and whatever it spits out is what it spits out. And I think that that is a cool part about the NCAA tournament is you really can't predict it. There's only one outcome. It's basically, you know, like Doctor Strange saying there's 14 million different possibilities and the one they got is, you know, the one he saw. That's kind of the NCAA tournament as I describe it to people. But college basketball to me is way more than just like, you know, a NCAA tournament. It has a lot to do with like the regular season, which is something that I, you know, really love. I love the regular season. And there's a lot about college basketball, the regular season, that I love so much. One, I would just describe to people that every single arena and crowd is completely different from the next. I feel like that's something that sticks out with the NBA to me personally. Every single arena looks the same. All of the crowds kind of react the same. Nobody really has their own unique chants. Again, like it goes way more to do with just the basketball on the court with why I like college basketball. I feel like there's like more of a connection that you can make from school to school. Everybody's got like their own unique chants, own unique arenas, even like different types of courts. I mean, like Vanderbilt, for example, they don't have benches sit on the baseline rather than the sidelines. So it's like, that's cool to me. And you just see a lot of different parity within the sport when it comes to just what you're watching on the court and how not everything looks the same. I mean, even like the style of basketball was different, especially growing up for me. Like I witnessed Tony Bennett's pack line defense. I witnessed Jim Boeheim's Syracuse, and even like schools like West Virginia with Bob Huggins, they would press the entire game, and Rick Pitino did the same thing. I don't know, you just don't necessarily see that with the NBA. The basketball just looks the same, and I think that that's a frustrating thing with the NBA is that everybody plays the exact same way, basically, you know, and I'm giving like a very low level observation. Obviously, teams do throw out different things during games, but I just feel like the players are way more bought into what the coach is saying rather than, you know, the players just have so much control in the NBA. And I feel like that kind of has rubbed me the wrong way, especially as like a viewer. And I feel like that's where the NBA has gone completely wrong, is they made it more about the players rather than the teams. And I feel like that's the thing with college basketball is you make that connection when you're in school. You know, it's something that you and your friends go and do for 4 years. You go to games and then that carries with you for the rest of your life. I mean, a lot of people that go to college basketball games are older people. It's not necessarily just college kids, which plays a great part into like the atmosphere. I mean, you get college kids into a game, you know, they can make it a crazy environment, but you know, you carry that connection with you for your whole life. And I think that that's something that's really cool. It's about the school rather than about just the players on the court. And I think that that's something that the NBA has really screwed up with, is that like it's become way less about the teams. And I think that that has really played a, you know, a huge factor in why the ratings have declined. Is Adam Silver made it about the players, and that's what he did as commissioner, and there's no changing that. That's what he set out to do. And I think that there's been some, you know, ramifications when it comes to that. I just feel like people don't necessarily make that connection that you see in college basketball. And also another thing about college basketball, it's very accessible. I mean, like that's a huge reason why people see college basketball is I give ESPN props. I mean, it's on every night. So it's like it's on ESPN, ESPN2, and even ESPN News, and then even like CBS, CBS Sports. We've got, the SEC network with ESPN. We also have like the Big Ten network and the ACC network. So it's on every night, and it's something where I describe to people too. You see something different every single night within college basketball, whether it's like a court storm, whether it's just a really crazy buzzer beater that you just don't expect, or a crowd reacting a certain way. Because I feel like that's another thing about college basketball that I want to mention too, is that crowds react way differently than they do in NBA games. It's just a completely different experience. I mean, personally, as a college basketball fan, the regular season has a lot to it. I mean, like when we're looking at the regular season as a whole, we start out with, Champions Classic. We then we go to Feast Week, which Feast Week is a cool thing in theory. I mean, like all these teams go to different places around the country and play like a mini March Madness, they go and play in the Bahamas. They go out and play in Maui, which is an incredible tournament. And they go to like a lot of these warmer places and play. So that's a really cool thing with Feast Week. You also get like lots of different regular season matchups that it's just a cool experience, the whole thing. And then even going into like conference play, the fight for winning the conference title, even that matters. I just feel like there's a lot with college basketball that matters more than just winning in March, because you can make that connection by winning a mini tournament during the regular season that can really matter to a fan base. It's just ingrained in the culture of college basketball. It's a cool thing. And I just feel like even like other sports leagues miss out on that, for example, like even like within just the college scene, it's just something unique with college basketball. College baseball doesn't necessarily have that. College football doesn't have that. And then even when you look at like the bigger leagues, I mean, they all just play a regular season. I feel like, the NBA has tried to make the addition of the in-season tournament. It's a unique thing within college basketball. I always describe to people too, college basketball just has so much going on during a regular season and even into March. You can just find enjoyment in so much. And I just feel like it's just a unique thing within the sport. And yeah, people will complain about college basketball, not being the most high level version of basketball, but that's not necessarily why I find enjoyment within the sport. One, people just find enjoyment with their own team. I think that's the number one thing, is finding your own team. Whether that's you going to that university, going to, games. For me personally, I found enjoyment as just going to Dayton Flyers basketball games as a kid, and like, even getting into high school and stuff like that. And I didn't even go to Dayton. So it's like, I can still make that connection without even going to a specific school. And even like people grow up, liking Duke, for example, or the Blue Bloods, and they didn't go to those schools. And that's not even a bad thing. Maybe a long time ago, I used to get annoyed by that, but the more I've, matured and grown as a person, I find that there's something cool about that too. I mean, you got to find a team somewhere. It doesn't matter necessarily where or why, but you have to find a team. And I think that's exactly where the NBA has screwed up, they made it way less about the team, made it more about the players. And I understand the reasoning for that, but I feel like the ramifications of that during the late 10s and even into the 2020s, it's really hurt ratings in a lot of aspects. And, I feel like that's the one league where it just became less about the team and more about the players, compared to like baseball, hockey, and obviously the NFL. It's just something that they're dealing with. And I think that that's something that's been cool about college basketball. Plus, you make that connection with like all the college sports, women's college basketball has grown over the years, which is a cool thing. And even college baseball is growing. So it's just, maybe that just is the college thing, you find your university, and it just makes things easier, because, you have that rooting interest for the rest of your life. It's something that you make that connection with all your friends. If you go to a bigger college or even a smaller college, you just make that connection for the rest of your life, and it's just something that carries with you. So it's a cool thing. And I resonate with that. I know that it's not for everybody. My friends per se don't make that connection, so they're not going to be into college basketball, and that's fine. For me personally, that's why I like college basketball. I just feel like there's way more of a connection with fan bases rather than, just the players. And I think that's a cool thing. So that's kind of like why I like college basketball. I feel like there's just a lot to it that is way more than just playing on the court. Even like friends that I've made throughout, the Twitter community and stuff like that, I feel like is something that is pretty special. And also, I think another thing that is cool about college basketball is like, it's just the sport as a whole. I feel like you can find enjoyment in a lot of different teams, even if you're just a fan of, you keep up with obviously your conference. As somebody that likes the Horizon League and the A10, I certainly keep up with both those conferences. And I think that that's another cool thing too, is it just feels like a one giant community, and I resonate with that. So that's kind of why I like college basketball. I mean, obviously I grew up around a lot of really good programs. For example, Cincinnati, Ohio State, Xavier, Dayton, even Kentucky and Louisville, like they were all good during like my childhood. So it's like I connect with that, and still carry that with me. And then obviously, you know, March is the best. And I think that that's a huge reason why people like college basketball. Plus, March is something everybody gets involved with it. It's an entire month dedicated to the sport. It's the one thing that I can literally get my mom, who does not watch sports, I can get her to actually, like, one, fill out a bracket, but two, even keep up with it, and she finds some enjoyment in it. Family, grandma, you know, it's just something that, like, you know, my family didn't like sports. It was just my thing. So it's like I got them to get involved with it in some aspects because of March Madness. I've tried with every other sport, and for some reason March is like the one thing that I can get everybody kind of involved with. It's just a cool thing. The whole sport as a whole, you know, there's like 360 Division I schools, and technically all of them have a chance to compete in March Madness. So there's another connection right there, is that just spans across the entire United States. You know, you get all the way from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast and everybody in between. So it's just another thing that makes college basketball special too. So it's everything as a whole, man. Everything as a whole. Yeah, that's kind of like my rant. Again, I understand people's perspective when it comes to wanting to watch the best of the best, but also at the same time too, all those guys come from a college, and you can make that connection too from watching them in college, watching them in the pros. I think that's another cool thing about it too. So yeah, that's why I like college basketball more than the NBA. More of like a ranting video, more of just a rambling as well. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what I'm trying to get at here too. If you're trying to get into college basketball, I will say this: just watch, and then you'll find something that fits you. You don't have to go out searching for something. Let it come to you, and it will. Something that I will always say is let it come to you. Don't go trying to search for something, because it will come to you. That's how I found personal fandoms and things without having any sort of influence. You know, I never had particularly like somebody tell me to like something. I just always found it myself. And that's what I suggest to people that don't have a university that they go to, that are trying to find something and find enjoyment in it. It will come to you. So just let it come to you. So yeah, that's basically like my connection as a college basketball fan, why I like college basketball more than the NBA. Let me know why you like either down in the comment section below. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, that will do it for the video. Thank you for watching. Peace.